Good evening. It's Wednesday, May 27th, and we're about to start our traffic and parking meeting. Clerking for us today is Ann Pham, along with the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation and Mobility, Stephen Raleigh, Assistant Director Todd Corain. We have Officer Cipro over here, and even Councilor Frizzolo decided to join us today, and of course, my colleague here, Vice Chair Louis Ojeda. Can we start with the virtual attending clerk information?
To the chair, would you like to do a roll call first?
Oh, absolutely. Roll call for attendance. Go ahead.
Thank you. Councilor Bellotta, Vice Chairperson Councilor Ojeda, and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Here.
Thank you. And to the chair, so 1A right now, virtual attendee calling information pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, and in order to ensure active and public engagement, the City of Worcester currently allows for both in-person and remote participation at all City Council and Standing Committee meetings. To partake in the meeting, you may attend the meeting in person within the meeting location. You can look up the Zoom link on our website, or you can join via the direct line as indicated. The phone number is 1-646-828-7666, and the Zoom access code is 161-411-9888. And if we ask that if you join the meeting via Zoom or if you're calling in, please use the raise hand function when the item you would like to speak on is being heard. If you're on the application, you can just press the raise hand button, and if you're on if you're calling in, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Thank you,
Thank you. And first, we begin with the approval of roll call approval minutes for the April meeting.
Councilor Bellotta, Vice Chairperson Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. All right, first we're going to start with 3A handicap parking petitions. We have Rebella Husseini request installation of a handicap parking space in front of 118 Eastern Avenue.
To the chair, sorry, Madam Chair, Councilor Bellotta is on.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Councilor Bellotta. And Commissioner Raleigh. Is anybody here first to speak on 3A? No? Commissioner Raleigh.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we actually were in contact with the petitioner for 3A, and they notified us that the space is no longer needed, so that can be filed.
Great. All right.
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands on Zoom.
Okay, so I'm going to move to file the item. Roll call.
Councilor Bellotta,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda, and Chairperson Councilor
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we move to 3B. Eva Clark requests installation of a handicap parking space in the vicinity of 195 Lincoln Street. Anybody here for that? Anybody online?
To the chair, we do have the petitioner raising their hands on Zoom. I will allow them to speak now.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm requesting the handicap be placed in the vicinity of 195 Lincoln Street.
Okay. Commissioner Raleigh?
Mr. Chair, our recommendation is to approve this item. We have been in discussions with the petitioner because it is located within a declared winter parking ban, and she's aware of that. So it means when there is a declared ban, the space couldn't be used, but there's not really a suitable alternative location that was going to work for them. So our recommendation is to approve.
Okay, we move to approve. Any of the councilors want to say anything first? Nope. Okay. Move to approve.
Councilor Bellotta?
Yes.
Councilor,
Sorry. Would that be on the Sturgis side of 195 Lincoln or the Lincoln Street side?
Through the chair, that's on the Sturgis Street side.
So it'll be on the Sturgis.
The even, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
so I will start the roll call again. For approval, Councilor Bellotta,
Yes.
Councilor Rivera, and Chairperson Councilor, oh, sorry, my apologies, Councilor Ojeda, and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. Okay, move on to 3C. Lydia Rios, I know she's on Zoom, request installation of a handicap parking space in front of 9 Preston Street. I think we just go straight to Lydia on Zoom.
Yes, to Chair, I will give her the permission to unmute now. Hello?
Lydia, ¿está ahí?
To Chair, can see that she has unmuted, but seems like she may have an issue with the microphone.
Tiene que aprender el micrófono. All right, I'm going to go to Commissioner Raleigh. She's going to be happy with the result anyway, so.
Mr. Chair, so we did speak with the petitioner. This was held at the last meeting. There was some question about whether they had access to the off-street parking on the lot, and there is a little bit of off-street parking, but this is a 3-family, and they reported that they don't have regular or guaranteed access to that. There is one other HP space at the residence next door, but that's being utilized regularly. So given those circumstances, we do recommend approval.
Yeah, any of my colleagues want to speak on this item? No? Okay, we move to approval. Roll call.
Councilor Pilata,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. 3D, Donna Livingston requests installation of a handicap parking space in front of 23 Kendrick Avenue. Is anybody here for that? Anybody online?
To the Chair, we do have the petitioner online. I will go ahead and unmute her now.
Thank you.
Hello? To the Chair, I can see that she has unmuted, but maybe she's having microphone issues.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, I am calling on I'm talking on my behalf about getting the handicap parking space. There is a parking lot where I live, but it's further in the back, which is very hard for me to get from there to my house with a cane. So that's why I would like to have parking in front of my home if I could. And especially in the winter time, it would be even worse with the snow and the ice with the cane, with my balance and everything, that in front of my home would be beneficial and safer for me.
Thank you, Donna. Commissioner
You're
Raleigh?
welcome.
Mr. Chair, so as was described, we had spoken with the petitioner, and her unit is not very proximate to the off-street parking spaces, so it would be quite a walk. The space in front of her unit would be suitable, and we're therefore recommending approval.
Receive. Any of my colleagues want to say anything about it?
No.
All right, we move for approval. Roll call.
Councilor Pilata,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. All right. 3E, Kayla Marie LeBron requests installation of a handicap parking space in front of 159 Ingleside Avenue. Is anybody here for that? Anybody online?
To the Chair, there's no one raising their hands on Zoom.
Commissioner Raleigh?
Mr. Chair, we do recommend approval for this item. So there are a couple of other HP spaces in the neighborhood close by, but it does appear that they're regularly used. The petitioner, it's a 3-family, only has 1 parking space available off-site, and it's not well-suited. So again, we do recommend approval.
Thank you. Any of my colleagues want to speak on that item? All right, we move for roll call.
Councilor Pilata,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. All right, we go to 3F. Counselor Robert Bellotta, on behalf of Adam Henderson, requests removal of the handicap parking space across from 118 Tower Street. Anybody here to speak on that item? No. Counselor Bellotta, anything you want to say on that?
Notice as it reads, the resident had reached out, so it was just forwarding this on their behalf.
All right, Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, we recommend approval as long as there's no testimony suggesting that anyone is still using it, which we haven't heard as of yet.
Sounds good. We move to approve that item. Roll call.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. 3G, Fatima Husseini requests installation of a handicap parking space in front of 117 Merrifield Street. Anybody here? Okay, here we go. How are you? As you right there, and name and city residence? Yeah.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Mariam. My sister is Fatima. It's the same.
Okay.
It's because it's for my mom for apply for the handicap because she's really severe arthritis, both knees and lumbar disc. That's why it's so difficult to walk. And our apartment have two parking in the right side, but for the first floor and third floor. But for us, nothing. That's why, especially for the winter, difficult for my mom to walk because the male fertility is always uphill. That's why it's so difficult. If can be do something, I'm so appreciate.
Sounds good. Anybody online?
To the chair, there's no one raising the hands on Zoom.
Commissioner Raleigh?
Mr. Chair, in this case, it's a three-family property. There is a little bit of off-street parking. There's a driveway that at most could accommodate 2 vehicles, so there's a little bit of a shortage of parking there. And the testimony that was just provided described how they don't actually have access to that parking either. So it is a suitable location, and we would recommend approval.
Okay, we're gonna roll call for approval of the item.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. Right, moving on to no parking petitions. Number 1. 4A, Counselor John Frizolo requests the existing no parking anytime zone on the north side of Crownshield Road, extending 230 feet west from Massasoit Road, be rescinded with the establishment of a residential permanent parking zone on the north side of the Crownshield Road, from Massasoit Road to Eastern Ave, extended, being installed in its place. Is there anybody here to speak on that? 4A? No? Councilor Frizzola, would you like to speak on that item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, Mr. Chairman, campaigning through this area, I heard from many people, not all, but many residents that I knocked on their door, and they complained to me about the parking issue around Rice Square School at drop-off in the morning and pick-up at dismissal time in the afternoon. So that is where I am coming from with several of these changes to the streets in and around Rice Square School. But I have been contacted by 2 residents, one that lives at the corner of Massasoit Road and Crowningshield, and her house faces Massasoit, and then the first house in on Crowningshield. They would like the no parking anytime zone to stay. So I'd like to amend, if I could, Mr. Chairman, through you, to Traffic and Mobility, if we could keep those, that no parking anytime zone in front of those 2 houses and start the residential parking at the next address. I'd like to see if we could do that, please, through you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Raleigh?
Through the chair, I'll also look to the clerk's office for guidance here, but to me, it sounds like all we would be doing is, rather than rescinding the entirety of the no parking zone, we would rescind just a portion of that, which should be allowable, I would think, because it's a lesser action than was petitioned for. And then the RPP could proceed for the remainder of the portion. So if the clerk's office agrees, I'm fine with that.
To the chair, I would agree with that.
Sounds good. We move for approval. Roll call.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. All right, we move on to 4B. Counselor John P. Frizzolo requests establishment of a no parking school day, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., except school buses zone on the west side of Indiana Street, from Massasoit Road to a point 20 to 50 feet south of Massasoit Road. Counselor Frizzolo, you want to speak on that? As it reads.
As it reads, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, yeah, so this is the second of, I believe it's 7 items. They're sort of scattered throughout the agenda, so it may make sense to go ahead and take all 7 of these in a row, and I can go ahead and let you know what
Perfect.
the others are after we hear this
All
one.
right,
But this piece specifically establishes along the side of the school on Indiana Street that it's a no parking zone except for school buses, so they can use that to stage and to load, which is, as I understand it, what they do today. So
When you say 7 items on the no parking,
so there are items 4A and B,
yep,
and then items 5C, D, E, and F,
gotcha.
and then item 9A, all of which kind of work together.
All right, so I'm gonna grab those items for B.
Mr. Chairman? Excuse me. Could I just address one of the reasons why I'm filing these petitions? Would you
Sure.
mind if I do it now
No.
for the general public?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, in doing this, people might say, well, where are they going to park? Where are the parents going to park? We have that solved, Mr. Chairman. Across the street, the church, Our Lady of Loretto and Mount Carmel Parish, Monsignor Pedoni, has agreed to allow parents to park in the church parking lot in the morning to drop off their kids, and in the afternoon to pick them up at dismissal. So that is the crux of the issue. They'll be able to park there, as well as the teachers, Mr. Chairman. All teachers will be able to park in the parking lot. They have an agreement, the school has an agreement with the pastor, Monsignor Pedoni. So I just wanted to make that clear and allow the general public that might be listening at home to understand that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So just to confirm, you have 4B, 5A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, no. For 5, it starts with item C, and then D, E, and F
Okay,
would be the next grouping, and then
Alright.
also 9A.
9A.
Yep.
Okay, so let me, just so I can read them in the record, and then let you do your thing. All right. 8.
I can actually help you with the pages on those.
Yeah. Just trying to, so I can read it. 8's, it's a little long. And here we go, 9. So you said 9A? All right. So we read 4B already. We're going to 5C, you said, right? All right. Council John Frizzolo requests establishment of a residential permanent parking zone on the west side of Indiana Street from point 20 to 50 feet north of Edison Street to Edison Street. And then we go to 5D. Council John Frizzolo requests establishment of a residential permanent parking zone on both sides of Batavia Street between Crownshield Road and Indiana Street. 5E, Councilor John Frizzolo requests establishment of a residential permanent parking zone on the east side of Austin Ave from point 20 to 75 feet south of Indiana Street to Indiana Street. F, Councilor John Frizzolo requests establishment of a residential permanent parking zone on the south side of Crownshield Road from Everton Ave to Batavia Street. And then 9A, Councilor John Frizzolo requests the existing 1-hour parking from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. school day restrictions on the east side of Indiana Street, extending 150 feet south of Austin Ave, be rescinded with the establishment of a residential permanent parking zone on the east side of Indiana Street from Brightwood Ave to Alston Ave, and to establish a no parking zone on the east side of Indiana Street from Alston Ave to Massasoit Road being installed in its place. Commissioner Raleigh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So collectively, those do, as the district counselor described, basically the land immediately adjacent to the school that we just talked about for 4B would be reserved for school bus use. There are a couple of areas that aren't really suitable for parking at all, and those would be retained as no parking areas. So for example, the little section of Indiana Street between Alston and Massasoit, it's too short to safely accommodate someone parking there, so it would be a no parking zone. And then it establishes residential parking zones on those bordering streets. Otherwise, I do have to note that on item 5C, there's a typo that was my fault. When we were coordinated with the counselor, I mixed up my directions. So 5C will need to be held and re-advertised, but that shouldn't hold up implementation of any of the others. And we can recommend approval of the other items.
Received. So let's first start with 5C to held that one, and then we can approve all the other ones collectively.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, sorry.
there's people in the audience that
Oh,
might be opposed, so
sorry.
if you
Please
could
come
allow
up,
them to
name
speak.
and residence. I thought you were here representing everybody. Name, see the resident.
Hi, my name is Ann Correlia. I live at 60 Crowning Shield Road. And I'm specifically speaking about only item F, residential parking on south side of Crowning Shield from Everton to Batavia. There are two houses on that little strip of land, myself and my neighbor Tracy, who's also here, who both oppose it. What I can say is, first of all, we have a speed bump right in front of our house on that same plot of land. Would like to say I'd given it the office already. That speed bump is necessary because traffic is an issue. People speed down that road, parents, kids, whatever, but it's not well plowed, and I still today have water in my garage because it backs up and the water doesn't flow. I'm not complaining about that. What I'm saying is it's already sort of an issue along with the streets with my house in particular. I have a couple of questions. First of all, can any parent potentially get a resident parking permit and park in front of my house, even with these restrictions? Are these parking permits specific to my address, or is it just a citywide permit?
Commissioner Raleigh.
Through the chair, so to be eligible for a parking permit, you'd have to be a resident of the house. So only you or a resident of your house would be eligible to obtain a permit.
So if somebody across the street has a permit and they parked in front of my house, they would still get ticketed? It's that precise?
Through the chair, no, that's not precise. So that's a good distinction. If you have a permit for that street, so if you're a resident of that street, you can think of it as a zone. You could park anywhere along that zone.
All right, so, potentially parents could get a residential parking permit and still kind of wreak havoc in front of my house as a technicality. My second question, there's already a no parking area right across from the street on Crowning Shield. Is that being actively enforced as a no parking area? Are people getting ticketed for that regularly?
Commissioner Raleigh.
Through the chair, so there is a no parking area up toward Massasoit Road, which is enforced. Obviously, parking control can't be there all the time, but that's one of the areas that we do occasionally get some complaints about, and is actively enforced. So these proposals collectively, as modified, would reduce the length of that no parking zone a bit, and then convert the rest into a residential parking zone.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to try to not be subtle, which is my charm. I think there are ways around this that even if you enforce this, this will still be a problem. And I will say, I wholeheartedly agree with every single one of my neighbors who kind of cite bad behavior of parents. The parents aren't bad people, they're not evil people, they're focused on their kids. And when they're focusing on the kids, they're not really caring so much about the property owners. There's trash, there's all kind of bad behavior back and forth. I live on the street, I don't love it. But that being said, I just kind of openly question if how effective this really would be at doing anything other than forcing me to get a parking permit and have to endure the chains of the city's rules when other people clearly, routinely don't. Yeah, so like I said, I'm not trying to vilify the parents. And the last comment I will make, again, with the fact that there's two of us that live on that one segment on item, I think, F, that are not loving this. This is a problem on every school. I'm retired, luckily, I'm retired. I try not to leave my house between 2 and 4, but when I do, because I have to go to the dump or have to go grocery shopping, every school I go to has this problem. This is a standing problem for the city of Worcester. This is not isolated to my, sleepy little neighborhood. I think the city really owes it to all of us to find a durable, permanent, long-standing, united solution to this problem. And just like the speed bump is effective because it doesn't really require enforcement, I just openly question how effective this will be at deterring anybody's behavior other than my own as a taxpayer. So I would challenge you, I would have much less of a problem, honestly, if you said here, every school within 1,000 feet is going to be made a resident parking, and it's going to be enforced, and it's not specific to one area because it's a problem. And by the way, I know you're taxpayers, but all you parents out there, don't leave trash, don't cut people off, don't put your little nanny tram in front of a car as it's driving by. I understand their focus is not my focus. I would just requestfully ask for you to rethink item F on Crowningshire Road between Batavia and Everton. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I understand what the resident is saying, but the difference here in this particular case is we have a neighbor, the church, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Loretto Church, who's offering a solution. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take them up on their offer and allow parents and teachers to park there. So that's the difference between Rice Square School and other schools that the resident has mentioned. Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Raleigh, would there be a problem if we did not go through with item F and allow that to stay the way it is? Through you, Mr. Chairman.
I have no problem with it, Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, so these two houses are sort of at the periphery of the area we're talking about, and they're the only two that are covered by item F. So item F could theoretically be filed, and the other items could still proceed. I would caution there's a little bit of an increased risk then that maybe some parents will figure it out and, park in front of these two properties. But given the number of restrictions that'll be in place in general in the neighborhood, I think that's not likely to become a significant recurring problem. So I don't think I'd really have a concern with potentially filing item F and proceeding with the others.
All right, so for now, we're just going to decide on 5F. We'll file it, and then we'll, Councilor Ojeda, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Councilor Fasolo, if we're going to move forward to filing this, and to what the resident said, one of the major issues is enforcement, obviously, and I do really appreciate working with the church and seeing how that goes. For me, I'm just really big on making sure we get as many residents involved in these type of decisions. So. If we do file this, and it seems like we're gonna go ahead and file this, is there a way that we can help them with enforcement at that time of day, or the issues that they're dealing with at that time of day? Or have you had those conversations?
Well, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Council Ojeda, I have talked to the commissioner and the assistant commissioner about enforcement, and I'll let them speak to it. But, I believe, and I think, I won't speak for the commissioner and assistant commissioner of traffic mobility. I believe it's a safer situation, what we're going to. The parents will be parking in the church parking lot and crossing with a crossing guard instead of parking on several streets, crossing the streets on their own and with their children. And I agree with the resident. This is an issue at many schools in the city. But this is a way to try to correct a problem that happens both at drop-off and dismissal. But that's all I can say to you. I'll allow Commissioner Raleigh to respond.
Through the chair, I think the one thing I'd add is that, as a resident said, it's a challenge to always be there to enforce. We have dozens and dozens of schools across the city. They have similar problems. They get out at the same time of day, and there's a handful of parking enforcement officers on duty at that time. So you can't always be there. But the other piece of that is that there aren't a lot of parking regulations in the vicinity of this particular school. So there is the one no parking zone, but other than that, there's not a lot to enforce right now. Whereas this proposal is one way, and there are other ways you could think about doing it too, but this is one way to provide some framework where then they have some restrictions that they can actually enforce. It is key, I will say, it is key that there has to be some place for the faculty to park and for the staff and for parents to have safe pickup and drop off. And, as long as that's in place, then I'm comfortable with it. We're actually working with DPW currently to finalize improvements for Massasoit Road, which is even going to improve that crosswalk more. So there's going to be an expanded curb extension there. The rapid flashing beacon will be retained, and we're going to consolidate everyone to that single crossing instead of having two. So that should be a very efficient and safe way to cross the street at that location. So I am comfortable with the proposal as long as there's access to that parking lot.
So, Mr. Chair, through you to the council, just to clarify the question with respect to enforcement in front of these two houses. Currently, there is no ordinance restricting parking. So if this does not get passed, then anyone can continue parking in that block between Everton and Batavia. So there's nothing parking enforcement can do. So anyone can park there, including parents, teachers, et cetera, unless this regulation ordinance gets passed.
Okay, thank you. And just lastly, through the chair, it could be with Commissioner or Fazolo. You've been doing a lot of work on this. In that case, if teachers, parents are parking there, who's the point of person that the residents need to speak to? Obviously, I wouldn't want your phone being blown up all the time, but is that something they call the schools? That's something that I know I've dealt with on some of the schools, where the schools will talk to their own staff and say, hey, please, we agree not to park here, or reach out to some of the parents. Have you had those type of conversations?
Commissioner Raleigh?
Through the chair. So if they are parked in a location where there is a restriction, either no parking or the resident zone, then I would report it to 311, and then we can send parking enforcement out to deal with it. If they're parked in another location where there aren't restrictions, for example, this block that we're talking about, if this particular item is filed, then there's nothing to enforce. They have the legal right to do that. There's just sort of a friendly agreement, not to do it. So I think the best recourse in that case is to have a conversation with the school itself and ask about the types of communications that have been going out to parents and that kind of thing.
Oh, go ahead, please. Name and residence.
My name is Jessica Calle. I live on 21 Alston Ave. It's just kind of a general question about how the residential parking works. So say for example, I have friends or family over, and they're parked in front of my thing. Would a neighbor, because I kind of have space in my driveway, but if I invite a bunch of family and they're parked in front of it, if a neighbor, which I kind of understand if they parked not in front of my house, but how does enforcing work? Would or if someone parks in front of my house that isn't someone I know, would I call it in, or is you mentioned 311 or something? Are they coming in frequently to check that, or is it also something that neighbors can report if they see it? How does that work?
Commissioner Raleigh.
So through the chair, so enforcement is somewhat random in nature. That to be effective, it kind of has to be. If you know when the enforcement's coming, you're not gonna park there. But it's also in response to complaints. So a lot of times it's through 311 calls or even calls directly to the parking office. In the case of guests or visitors who don't have a pass, there is a guest pass program, so you can go online and actually obtain guest pass for them to use, and as long as they're displaying one, they won't get a ticket. It's a little bit of an inconvenience, to be candid, but there is that process. Or the other option is they can park a block further down where there aren't restrictions, or 2 blocks down, or whatever the case may be, depending on your location.
Okay. I guess a follow-up question on that. So is it if this is just affecting the streets themselves, not a driveway, no one's gonna be checking in that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So if I may, through the chair, on my street, there's resident parking. When I have friends and family over, they all park and just fit them all in the driveway, and then we park out because we have the resident parking. So we would park there, and then all the friends and stuff like that would park there. Or if the neighbors are nice enough, they'll let you use their driveway as well. And then whoever has the sticker can park on the thing in the street, or the visitor pass as well.
Okay. And I guess so to register for residential parking, is that something we do online, or do we have to go in person at the DMV or
Commissioner
something
Raleigh.
like that?
Yeah, through the chair. So there is an online portal that you would be able to register for. In fact, that's the most convenient way to do it, and the way that we recommend as well. So you would receive a notification that a new residential parking zone was being established, with information about how to obtain the permit. And then once per year, you would need to renew that permit if you wanted to keep it.
Okay.
And there's a small charge. I believe it's $20 per year, $10, $20. I should know that, but how much?
It's $10 per resident parking sticker, $5 per visitor pass. Professional service pass is $25, so if you have someone coming that's doing a in-home healthcare aid, that kind of thing.
Okay. So it's 10 per car, basically. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, through you, to the resident. Miss,
ahead.
you stated you're on Austin Ave. Mr. Raleigh, if I'm correct in stating Austin Ave isn't, there isn't that many spots on Austin Ave, right? It was because between you, through you, Mr. Chairman, the cars that park on Austin Ave normally are teachers that park there, so they're going to be moving into the parking lot. They could be parking at the church parking lot now for whatever reason they don't, but they will have to. So I think it only goes down a couple of houses on Austin Ave, but I'll let Commissioner Raleigh correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Through the chair, that's correct. I'm actually looking for the exact zone. It's a little bit tricky since we have so many different items here.
It's 275 feet south of Indiana to Indiana, on the east side of Alston Ave.
So that's probably, if you're within the first 4 or 5 houses, you would be within the zone.
Okay. And then the rest of Alston Ave isn't affected by this?
Further than that, it wouldn't be affected by that.
Okay.
And so if you were one of the affected houses, you'd have the choice of purchasing an RPP or getting visitor passes, or, like I said, parking a little bit further down the street.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so let's move with first 5F to file before we take the other ones together. Roll call on 5F, file.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. All right, so to approve, right now I have, all right,
Mr. Chair, we'll also need to hold, I believe it was
Oh,
5C
that's right.
to re-advertise.
5C to re-advertise, roll call.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. And so to approve right now, collectively, we have 4B, 5C, 5D, and 9A.
To the chair, I believe it's 5D, 5E, and 9A, because we just held
That's right.
5C.
That's right, 9A. Roll call.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. All right, held that one.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, through you, there's also an item 9A.
Yeah, that was just.
We did that
Oh,
one.
you did that
It's
one?
approved.
I apologize.
All
Thank
set.
you.
Not a problem. All right, so I'm going back to 5A, residential apartment parking items. We have Edward Shehu and Laurent Mija request removal of residential permit parking on Wamsetta Avenue. Is anybody here to speak on that issue? Anybody online?
To the chair, we do have one person raising their hands. To the call-in user with the last four digit of 99415, I will unmute you now. Please press *6 to unmute.
We'll start with Commissioner Raleigh. If he can fix it, we'll get to him back afterwards.
Mr. Chair, so this is sort of an unusual one. They're seeking to have an existing residential permit zone removed. This zone was established in 2014. It's within somewhat close proximity to Worcester State University, so that was the institutional impact. Although it is about a quarter-mile away, so it's not right up against the campus. The thing that's a little bit odd about this location is that there's two separate sections of Wamsutta Ave. So there's one down by May Street, which I would expect would occasionally have some impact from people parking at the college. And then there's another more remote section up by Potomska Street, and that section doesn't currently have any permit holders, even though it's in an RPP zone. I have a hard time imagining people are parking up there to maybe occasionally, but I wouldn't think a lot of people are. So just looking for some clarification from the petitioner on whether they're seeking just to remove the RPP from the more remote section up by Potomska, or if they were looking for both sections. There are some current permit holders down on the lower section, so I'd have a little bit of apprehension about removing that, but I could certainly understand it up by Potomska if that's what the residents were seeking.
Mr. Edward Shehu, are you online?
To the chair, they are not raising their hands anymore, so I'm assuming that do not want to speak. If you to speaker with phone number ending in 9415, if you'd like to speak, please unmute. You can press *6 to unmute. To the chair, they are not unmuting, so I am assuming that they are not looking to speak on this item.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would recommend that we hold it so we can try to reach out and get some clarity on this.
Clarification. Sounds good. So we're gonna move to hold the item. Roll call.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. Moving on to 5B. Richard Foster requests review of residential permit parking zone on Mount Carmel Way to either extend the resident permit parking to 22 Mount Carmel Way or remove said parking restriction. Is anybody here to speak on that item? Anybody online?
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands.
Commissioner Rowley?
Mr. Chair, and I'll look a little bit to Councilor Balata to advise on this as well. So when the apartments along Mount Carmel Way were constructed, there was concern about the impact to parking in that neighborhood because along East Central Street, there's a number of residences that don't have off-street parking. So there's a very high demand for off-street parking both on East Central, and then some of those residents actually parked on the Mount Carmel property at the time that is now, encompassed by the apartment building. That, with the addition of several hundred new units coming online, just being concerned about making sure that older housing stock still had some access to parking. At the time, Councilor Romero Carlson therefore petitioned to create a RPP zone on Mount Carmel Way that was specifically for the benefit of people living on East Central Street. So it's a little bit unusual compared to a typical RPP zone, but makes sense from a logic perspective. We haven't seen a whole lot of use of that section, and we have issued a lot of violations there. So we've issued 110 parking violations, which shows that there's this space that's not really being used effectively. As much as some people might not believe it, our goal is to get compliance with the regulations and get regulations that make sense rather than issue tickets all the time. So our suggestion here would be to go ahead and re-advertise this, or perhaps it requires another petition, I'm not sure. But rather than, it's not possible to grant access to the RPP to the apartment building because there's hundreds of units and there's 16 parking spaces. So they would just be overwhelmed with people trying to park there. And it's the apartment that created the adverse effect in the first place. So instead of that, our recommendation is to go ahead and use some of this space more efficiently. I'm suggesting that the first 130 feet be retained as part of that RPP zone, so that if there are people who live on East Central who have those permits, they still have some overflow parking available to them, but then take the rest of that space and free it up for other uses. So our thought here is that 2 of those would be 15-minute spaces. You see a lot of, delivery and that kind of things at an apartment complex of this size. Establish the remainder of that first parking zone is a commercial load zone during daytime hours, but then overnight it could just open up for any users. So if there's guests or visitors, they could park there. And then there's a second section, which we're recommending to just make 2-hour parking during the daytime, and then again, let it turn over to open parking for anyone overnight. So it's a little bit different purpose than the petition. I don't know if that's something we could just re-advertise, or if it would really be best to file this item and work with the district councilor to submit a replacement petition that's either this or something like this. And certainly interested in Councilor Balata's thoughts on it as well.
Councilor Balata, anything you want to share?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Rowley. I will go with what the Commissioner just said. I think it'd be, I'd like to file this and work on maybe establishing a single commercial loading zone and a single 15-minute space. But I know establishing spaces at a 2-hour limit, or the reduce the length of the RPP, that if we reduce it, I would only like to reduce it to have like a 15-minute space for drop-offs and a commercial loading zone. But I'm honestly a little apprehensive even about doing that, considering that there is a massive parking garage next door to the building, and there are some driveways around the building that I think there seems to be that there's space there for packages and things like that to get dropped off. So I'd like to file this and then circle back with DTM.
Sounds good. Anybody online?
Chair, yes, we do have one person who just raised their hand. To speaker with phone number ending in 4852. I will unmute you now. You can press *6 to unmute.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So my name is Carla Panarelli. I'm actually the manager of of Aria on the Row, which is the 370-unit apartment building that is in discussion. I was just wondering, is there a way to see who received those 110 parking spaces, parking tickets, to see the addresses of those people that have received those? The main reason why I have that concern is we are a luxury apartment building with higher than normal market rents in Worcester, and people work very, very hard to be able to stay at our community. Now, some of those are pushing the envelope a little bit in regards to their income versus rent ratio. So while there is a garage attached to the community, it is $150 a month in addition to their base rent to actually be able to park there. So I feel like the people that are truly being punished by this ordinance are those who can't truly afford that extra $150 a month for a reserved parking space. And we're kind of taking away the opportunity for them to have a parking as a resident on the same street that they reside on.
Commissioner Raleigh?
Yeah, through the chair. So, for an apartment building of that size, unfortunately, that's part of the circumstances, right? There's some residents who are going to need parking spaces. There are some who won't. I'm sure there's some residents who actually don't have cars and like the fact that they're in a walkable neighborhood. There's some that need two spaces, and there is a price premium that comes with that because land has value. It costs money to build structured parking, and all of those things. So there's only roughly 14 to 16 on-street parking spaces there. So obviously, if we just open that up as a free-for-all with 317 units there, quickly get overwhelmed, which is why we're suggesting to manage it in the best way we can. We recognize that the existing residential parking zone isn't being utilized fully, and some of that parking should be made available for supplemental use for the apartment residents, whether that's some combination of loading spaces, 15-minute spaces, time-limited spaces, or we're suggesting that most of that overnight goes to an unlimited space. So if you were a resident there, or if you were visiting, let's say, a resident there, you could park overnight in those spaces. But I think we need to sit down with the district counselor and certainly, invite any engagement with the apartment building there to figure out what that best set of rules is, because just simply removing the rules for 16 spaces is just going to create a bigger problem than what we have currently.
Yeah,
I get you, Chair.
I understand that.
go ahead.
Oh, wait, okay.
Sorry, no, you can go ahead. We're one of these meetings I've been to in a while, so the etiquette's a little out of
No,
my
you go
scope
ahead.
right
Go
now.
ahead, man.
Please.
No problem. I'll wait.
Okay, but I guess my concern is that while I appreciate that we're considering adding a commercial area and a short-term 15-minute loading zone, that doesn't really help impact the residents. I'm on that street 6 days a week, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That is more than any person that works for the city of Worcester. Either the space isn't utilized, or I see people getting tickets, and 9 times out of 10, the person that got a ticket is walking into my building as a resident.
Okay.
So I appreciate and respect the look in the review. I just feel like the fact that it was supposed to be used as residential parking, and those that are on East Central Street aren't utilizing it, that it should be released to the Mount Carmel Way residents. The people that live on the street should be able to park on that street.
Councilor Collado?
Yes, no, I appreciate the building manager's, concerns, and I think it would be best to, I'm looking on Google Maps now, just looking at the street. I think it would be best to file this and see, if we could carve out a few spots for parking at that building. But again, this is a dense neighborhood, and I know, the building has provided parking to residents. Unfortunately, it doesn't fall on the city that that there's a fee for parking for those residents. That's, kind of, I think more of an internal, challenge or situation there. But I'd like to move to file this and then, see if there's any opportunity to circle back with DTM. But again, there's, it's a very dense neighborhood and there is a very large parking garage there for residents, and whether or not residents of this luxury building can afford parking, I just don't know how. Again, that should fall on the city, but I think there is room to figure something out here. So I would like to, again, move to file this and then have myself reconvene with DTM and the property manager to see what options there may be.
So with that being said, we're just gonna take no action on it. We're gonna move to file the item, and I'll let the district counselor speak with the property manager and Department of Transportation Mobility. Hopefully you guys can work something out. So we're gonna move to file this. Roll call.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. So we're moving on to term prohibition petitions. So now we're up to 6A. Jen Martell, et cetera, request installation of a no left turn signage on Grafton Street, northbound in the vicinity of Roosevelt Elementary School located at 1006 Grafton Street. Anybody here speak on this item? Anybody online?
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands.
Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, so this is, as I'm sure the committee's aware, we've been working on pickup and drop-off and traffic issues in the vicinity of Roosevelt School. One of the recurring problems there are vehicles that are attempting to make a left turn into the driveway during those times, in particular, pickup and drop-off, where there's a standard protocol where vehicles are supposed to enter coming southbound on Grafton Street and make a right turn in. So it creates a dangerous situation for, whether it's school kids walking along the sidewalk and crossing the driveway, or traffic queuing up behind and then getting impatient and trying to pass around the left turns. So we are requesting and do recommend, or the petitioner has requested, and we do recommend establishment of a no left turn at that location.
Any of my colleagues want to speak on this item? Okay, we're gonna move to approve the item. Roll call.
Counselor Bilada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. Now we're going on to 7A, stop sign petitions. We have Counselor Jenny Pasillo on behalf of Paula Janowski, request installation of three-way stop sign signage at the intersection of Bjorkland Avenue and Stonegate Lane. Anybody here to speak on that item? Come up, name and residence, please.
Hi, my name is Paula Janowski, and I live at 29 Bjorkland Ave.
All right.
My concern is cars whizzing down Bjorkland Ave well over the 25, 30 mile an hour limit. I petitioned before for a speed bump, and people were pretty vehemently against it, which surprised me, but okay, maybe a stop sign would help, because people are moving pretty fast. And I'm sorry, this isn't clear. Where I intended was at the bottom of Stonegate Lane. It's a hill that comes down into Bjorkland. And, with kids on razor scooters and bikes and chasing balls, they get going down the hill, and people in the cross traffic are going pretty fast. So I'd like to just try and slow things down and prevent someone getting hurt. I don't have young children myself, but a lot of people around the neighborhood do. And that's my request. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody online?
To the chair, we do have one person raising their hand. To Speaker Carroll, I will go ahead and unmute you now. Hello, yeah, you can unmute, press the unmute button now. Hello? To the chair, I can see that Carol has unmuted, but I think they may have a mic issue at the moment.
All right, I'm gonna move to Commissioner Raleigh, then we can go back to her if she's still on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So actually, if I could, I had a question for the person who just spoke.
Can you come up, please? Thank you.
So I'm looking at the map here again, and I realize there are, of course, two Stonegate and Bjorkland
Yeah,
intersections.
it loops around.
It does, yeah. So the petition from the former district councilor was for an all-way stop. So that's stopping all three approaches. I'm noticing that the intersection to the east has a stop sign facing Stonegate Lane, but none facing Bjorkland. And then the one to the west, I don't believe has a stop sign facing any of the streets. Is that consistent with your?
Yeah, I'm thinking top of the hill, bottom of the hill. So I
Okay.
think the west would be the top of the hill. And where I was requesting is where there is an existing stop
Okay.
sign when you go from Stonegate onto Bjorkland.
Thank you. That's what we presumed was being requested in the petition. So in order to establish an all-way stop, we have to conduct a traffic analysis following federally prescribed standards, and we have to be able to demonstrate that there's either a sufficient amount of traffic or a crash history that warrants that, or there's some other factors in very specific circumstances that we can look at, like having a sight distance impediment that is very severe and cannot be rectified in another way. So in this case, not surprisingly, because Stonegate is just a minor local street, there's not enough traffic to satisfy those warrants. And thankfully, there haven't been any recorded crashes there in the last 5 years. So it doesn't meet any of the requirements to establish an all-way stop control at the intersection. And legally, then we cannot establish an all-way stop because it doesn't meet any of those engineering warrants that are prescribed by the federal government in the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. The other thing is, and this is always a little bit tricky because all-way stops certainly do have a positive impact in terms of helping break up corridors where there is recurrent speeding, but they are specifically prohibited from being implemented for the purpose of doing that. And the reason for that is because in cases like this, where there isn't sufficient traffic or crash history or some other impediment, the history with these shows that people they start running the stop signs, and then it becomes dangerous in a different way than it was. So for this specific application, we have to recommend that it be filed. But that doesn't mean that there aren't issues with speeding on the street. And so what I would suggest is that we work with the resident and the new district counselor and see what may be palatable in terms of whether there's some other traffic calming approach that could be taken. Speed humps honestly make a lot of sense in this context.
People were very against it, though.
If we can find a flat area, I don't know with the hill here if we can find a flat enough area, but if not, perhaps there's some other traffic calming measures that we could look at. So my recommendation would be to file, but then I would suggest we should work with the neighborhood and the district councilor on whether there's other options that might be appropriate here.
Councilor Ojeda?
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you, Commissioner Rowley. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It seems like a wide street, and then that's a pretty big intersection. I'm not sure when this picture was taken, but I noticed there no stop bar at the only stop sign there. And then I like that suggestion of connecting with the counselor of the district and the residents, and then working with DTM. I've worked with them consistently. They'll come out, walk the street, figure out what's best, maybe painting some lines or whatever it may be to help with the flow of the traffic and slowing traffic down. If anybody's against speed humps, obviously that's a neighborhood thing. That's something that everybody would have to agree on just to make life easy for everyone. but I'm pretty sure they can come up with something that makes sense for everyone. But, you know, with it being so wide, I just have a couple questions quickly. So there's no real crash history you mentioned, correct? Okay.
Right.
And then, was there a traffic study done on speed?
Through the chair, we did not specifically assess the speed because we focused on the stop control warrants, but that's something that we could do working with the neighborhood and the district councilor is pull up information on the speeds as well as we have the traffic volume information because that's a required input for the analysis that we do.
What I'm sorry, at one point, they did put up, a few months ago, one of the blinking signs that says you're going over 25 or whatever, and it just showed your speed. That seemed to help a little bit, except there was nothing that said speed limit is 25, you know, it just showed you what you were going. But it did seem to slow people down a little bit, at least it made them aware of how fast they were going, so.
Yeah, so we're gonna move to file this item, but we're gonna ask you to reach out to District 1 City Councilor Tony Economo.
Oh, okay.
To the
He'll get
chair,
on this.
to the chair, we do have one
He'll-
more person raising their hands on Zoom.
Okay, sure, let him on, please.
To Speaker Sophie Carmody, I will go ahead and give you permission to speak now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I am a resident of Bjorkland Ave, and we just wanted to listen in too. We know that the speeding is a little bit of a problem on our street, but, you know, like the resident said, we haven't had a big backing for our neighbor. You know, we're a very well-established street. We have the wide roads. There is a stop sign already. You know, she's already tried to put the speed bump in. Nobody wanted that. You know, like I said, we do have a few people that are speeding, but to put the three-way stop sign or add any more just seems like excess, you know. We've all been here for 30-plus years, and since this resident has moved in, you know, everybody started getting all these tickets, and, you know, she seems to call the parking commissioner a lot to try to get everyone ticketed for things, so I'm not really sure what the end game is on this, but for the most part, people in the neighborhood are okay with the way that things are going. So I'm just gonna say we're against the three-way stop sign.
All right, thank you, Sophie. At the moment, right now, we're just gonna move to file the item. Roll call.
Councilor Bellotta,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. All right, move on to 7B. Jeffrey Warren requests installation of an additional stop sign at the intersection of Chrome Street and Orion Street. Is anybody here to speak on this item? Anybody online?
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands on Zoom.
Commissioner Raleigh.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, in looking at this intersection, we were a little unclear on what the request was with the petition in terms of whether they meant stopping the other street or if they were saying requesting a supplemental stop sign on the left-hand side of the street. So in looking at the intersection, there are some visibility issues with the existing stop sign that's in the normal position on the right side of the street. So we think the right thing to do is go ahead and put a supplemental stop sign on the left side of the street where it'll be much more visible. So the main one will still remain in place on the right side of the street. Supplemental will go up on the left side of the street. And then it probably also makes sense to sign the 20-foot statutory parking restriction from the existing stop sign. One of the things we noticed is there's currently a vehicle that parks kind of into that zone a little bit, and it's a large vehicle and helps obscure that stop sign location as well. And then this is another location where we should paint a stop bar. So we think those three things are appropriate to address the concerns that were raised here.
All right.
Yeah, and so, Mr. Chair, we're recommending that the petition itself be filed just because it's a little bit vague, but then a chair's order
Gotcha.
requesting the three things that I just listed, which are a supplemental stop sign on the left side, signing the statutory 20-foot parking restriction, and painting a stop bar.
Very good. So, any of my colleagues want to speak on this item? No, all right. So we're gonna move to file the petition. Then we have the chair's order requesting installation of a supplemental stop sign on the left side of the Chrome Street, installation of a no parking daytime signage to enforce the statutory parking restriction, 20 feet from a stop sign intersection and a paint stop bar on Chrome Street at intersection with Orient Street. Roll call.
Counselor Balata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. I'll move to 7C. Counselor Robert Balata requests installation of a stop sign on Whittier Street at its intersection with Edward Street. Counselor Balata, want to speak on this?
Yes, thank you. I submitted this because a resident that lives on Edgeworth is just very concerned about speeding, especially with that new building that went up on Poet Hill. They're just experiencing more traffic and more speeding. So wanted to submit this to see what we could do to provide some traffic safety there and slow people down. And also what stop signs are meant to do, control traffic as well, so.
Anybody else online?
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands on Zoom.
And nobody's here to speak on this item? Commissioner Raleigh?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so in terms of traffic on Edgeworth, so I'm going to speak to this one, and the same thing will apply when we get to the next item too, on Dryden Street, which is just a couple of blocks down.
You want to take them collectively?
If you want to take them together, I think that makes sense.
Sure, might as well add 7D. Counselor Robert Balata requests installation of a stop sign on Dryden Street at its intersection with Edward Street. Commissioner Raleigh.
So both of these locations are uncontrolled currently. They're T intersections with Whittier and Dryden basically dead ending, coming down a hill. There should be some indication to traffic coming down that hill that they are the minor approach and not the through approach, and should yield the right of way to the opposing traffic. So we do recommend stop signs facing Whittier and facing Dryden to stop those vehicles. However, in a similar way to what we just described, they wouldn't qualify for all-way stops on Edgeworth. So if there's some concerns about speeding on Edgeworth itself, we would need to work with the district council on finding some other solutions to that. But do recommend approval of the stop signs to clarify the appropriate way to navigate the intersections facing the downhill traffic on the two side streets.
Sounds good. Anything else you want to add, Counselor Balata? Counselor Ojeda, you good? All right, we're going to approve.
No, yeah, sorry. People do come down those hills very quickly onto Edgeworth, so it will be helpful. And I appreciate Commissioner Raleigh's help and see what we can do to control traffic or to slow people down on Edgeworth, but this will be certainly a step in the right direction, so thank you.
All right, we're going to move to approve 7C and D collectively. Roll call.
Counselor Balata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. We're down to 7E. Counselor Christian King and Counselor Robert Balata request installation of a stop sign on Peabody Street at its intersection with Plantation Street. Anybody here on that item? Anybody online?
To the chair, we do have one person raising their hands. I will recognize them now. To speaker ending with phone number 3336. You can press *6 to unmute.
Hi, my name's Antonetta Vance, and I live on 8 Northborough Street. I'm just requesting that a stop sign be added to the end of Peabody Street that goes into Plantation, as cars coming out of Peabody Street don't stop, and it's very difficult getting in and out of Northborough Street.
Thank you. Counselor Balata, would like to speak on this item?
Thank you. Yeah, this is a very odd intersection. You have Peabody coming in kind of an angle there, and the Northborough Street is a few feet away, so it does create a real challenging intersection. So stop sign, like the resident mentioned, and as the petition states, will definitely help make it safer for folks in that area,
Commissioner
intersection,
Rowley.
excuse me.
Mr. Chair, agree with everything that's been stated on this petition so far. It's an unusual configuration as well, not only because of the angle at which it enters the street, but there's also sort of a surprising downgrade. So it would be easy to be driving on Peabody Street and not even know you're coming upon the intersection. Peabody Street is a private drive, but we can control access from private drives onto public streets. So we do recommend placing a stop sign at the intersection with Plantation facing Peabody Street.
Okay, we're gonna move to approve the item. Roll call.
Counselor Balada,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. All right, I see that 8 has quite a bit of work here. So I'm just gonna finish because we had gone out of order before, and I know there's a gentleman here on this item here, so I just want to speak on this item. So I just want to move, before we go to 8A, I'm gonna go to 9B. And it's actually a petition that I put in for Councilor Rivera on behalf of Denny Neforos and Nia Neforos and Luis Ortiz, owners of Calamos Market, request installation of a 30-minute parking on June Street from 116 June Street to 120 June Street. Name and residence, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Luis Ortiz. I'm here on behalf of Calamos Creek Maternity Market on June Street and the parking there, and to see about getting an extra half hour. I own the business with my 2 partners. So they're going to see about getting additional time for customers to shop and be able to shop, and also for the other businesses that are around to be able to get a pizza within 20 minutes is kind of hard as well for Jason's, including my customers coming in to get things as well. So,
Yeah, and I will attest that the reason I filed a petition, I spent a few hours there, and I got to see how the businesses in that area can be affected. So, anybody online want to speak on this item?
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands on Zoom.
Commissioner Rowley.
Yeah, through the chair. So the recommendation we put here was pending testimony because we wanted to hear from the businesses along this section. I'm very familiar with this area too. I don't live too far from here. Parking is a little bit difficult because there aren't that many spaces. There's actually 6 spaces on the east side of the street, and there's another 5 spaces on the west side of the street, and there's probably 6 or 7 businesses through there trying to share those spaces. So those are currently 2-hour limit metered parking. One of the things that we are doing is looking at whether it still makes sense to meter those spaces or not, just in general. Typically, when you have a business area like that, or a small business pocket, and more demand for parking than there are parking spaces, you need to implement some kind of regulations, or else you're going to just have people, take up the most valuable spaces all day.
That's
Right.
what's happening. Been there 11 years, going on 12. I've seen the waves come and go. The waves are a lot longer, a lot higher now. I don't know who's parking, who's not parking. I know the cars are there much longer than before. Seeing that I've been there now 12 years. And those are my concerns with that space in that area.
So through the chair, if I could just ask a follow-up question. So even though the existing spaces are supposed to be limited to 2 hours, you're seeing people parking longer than that, or is it just that there's a lot of people parking for the full 2 hours and not a lot of turnover?
No, there's much longer than that. I've seen vehicles even stay there during snow band. And then, the residents, I want to say the residents, I say the people influence there, working there, like myself and others that have business there, try to clean the area as best as possible. But it's kind of hard when you have a mound now full of ice, and because of someone just leaving their car there overnight, wherever that they live or wherever they're coming from, it's kind of hard for you guys to do your job when you're cleaning the street and there's one car left and it's not being able to clean properly.
Can I ask a question real quick? Is it possible to still have the meter there, but restricted to 30 minutes? You know, like, I don't know.
Mr. Chair, it's a little bit difficult to program the meters.
Oh, okay.
So that's the challenge we face, is that the meter is not, it doesn't know that part of the spaces are 2 hours and some are 30 minutes. That's fine, we can still sign it that way, and if someone buys 2 hours worth of time and they're parked in a 30-minute space, they're still in violation. It's just we get a lot more complaints when that happens. So, Todd, do you have any further thoughts on this? I mean, I know in general we don't like to split up the single pay station zones like this.
Yeah, I mean, so when I was looking at this, so metered parking is basically, you know, as the Commissioner indicated, used to create that regular turnover of spaces. That's what the metered parking is meant to do. It adds sort of the stick of having to pay, as well as the 2-hour limit. In other cases, though, that, you know, in remote business areas like this, where you have 2 meters for really just 1 meter with the overhead cost of basically regulating 5 spaces, and then on the other side of the street, you have the same meter that has the overhead cost of regulating just 6 spaces, that you can get the same turnover by doing a time restriction without that overhead cost, and that's what some communities are doing in the outer skirts of their business areas. So not the downtown, not Canal District, but sort of here where you have a small pocket of businesses where you can do, you know, based on the business profile here, where you have the pizza shop, you have the coffee shop, you have the 7-Eleven, you know, these are places where, you know, your market, these are places where you have, you know, really 30-minute limits are the turnover time that you want. So with respect to whether we're going to do, it doesn't make sense to just do like 2 spaces or 3 spaces, 30-minute limit. It might make sense to do, you know, to remove the meters and put all 11 spaces at the 30-minute limit during the daytime. In the evening, you can stop that at like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Open it up at the evening. That way, if there's nearby restaurants, you know,
Yeah.
that are going there longer, or residents that use it for overnight,
Yeah.
but you have the daytime use at that 30-minute limit to create that regular turnover for the businesses. And it also ensures that the employees aren't sort of parking up front as well. That's the other concern, is that if you open it up, you know, completely, human nature is you want that you're going to park as close as you can to that. So that's why it makes sense to have either the metered parking for the 2 hours or the 30-minute limit and take out the meters entirely.
So
would be what I would recommend.
Just real quick, I myself would agree that taking out the meters and putting a 30-minute parking probably be best. This also will be a good way for the city to be more business friendly in that community, you know, as well. So.
To the chair, we do have one person raising their hands on Zoom.
Sure, we'll listen to them.
Yep. To speaker list later, you can go ahead and unmute yourself now.
Go ahead, Liz.
Hi there.
Hi.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm calling in from, I'm on the West Coast at a conference, but I wanted to make sure that I called in. And I live in Worcester, and I work at Claremont Academy, and I'm calling in support of Councilor Ojeda's item to put a crosswalk and signal at May Street and Kingsbury and Silver. So my colleagues and I, is that still on the agenda tonight?
It's on the agenda. We just haven't got to it. We're on a different agenda right now. But since you called and you're on there, we're going to take that into consideration. And Councilor Ojeda's here as well.
Okay. Can I just say one thing quickly so that?
Sure.
Okay, so some staff and I did a safety audit at that exact intersection last week. And the things that I noticed is that in the dismissal time, so in a 20-minute time span, over 65 students crossed that intersection from 2:05 to 2:25 or something. In the morning, when I watched it, I watched 2 near accidents where people crossing the street on foot were almost hit by cars. And I noticed just a whole bunch of times when there's parking on both sides and people were having to peek their head around to try to catch the attention of drivers to get them to slow down or stop. And there were just like many, many instances where people did not. And so I just wanted to make sure that, our school has our students have a safe walk to school, and it would be safe for students were not the only people crossing during those times, obviously, but they were the majority. So thanks for hearing from me.
You got it, Liz. Thank you for calling. You want to just listen up in a little bit. We're going to be going to that item. You don't have to speak again, but I think you'll be happy with the results. Okay, back to 9B.
Mr. Chair, so I'm thinking it may be a good idea to hold this for one item, and then if we could together go down and meet with the little business group there, because the one thing I'm worried about, I do think it's a good idea to think about potentially removing the metered parking. Where I can candidly tell you, the city is not making money off of that metered parking there.
No.
And if our parking group feels that they can effectively enforce it with just the time limits, then that's a more business-friendly way to go in that case. But we do need to make sure they feel that they can do that, because it is more difficult to enforce without the meter. The meter gives you a tool that helps them in their enforcement. But I also want to make sure that with the other businesses, if we did, for example, convert it all to 30-minute parking, that we're not inadvertently hurting someone else who needs some 2-hour spaces at that location during the daytime. So, there's a handful, maybe half a dozen businesses there. If we could just go and do a little door knocking, and perhaps you have already. I know I haven't. It sounds like there's a refinement to this that maybe makes sense, and I don't quite know what that is yet.
Yeah, Mr. Rivera was there, and I appreciate you coming out
No
as
problem.
well.
Yeah.
I just see cars that are parked there, and I'm pretty sure they're not paying the 2-hour limit. That's my concern, is that it's, as much as you guys can enforce it, I don't know what we can do at this particular time and juncture.
So, Mr. Chair, I think there's a couple things we could do. We could, if we voted it as it's written, that would convert some of the spaces to 30-minute. We'd have a little bit of a trick on our hands in terms of figuring out how to do that with the meters. But if that's what you'd like to do, we can do that, or we could hold it for a meeting and try to work out a kind of a final proposal.
But
that
if you guys want to come out, speak to us.
I'd definitely like to meet you there and sometime soon. So if we hold it, we can have it on the June meeting to approve. The only thing I ask is, can it be amended to also include the other side of that parking area, so that way we don't have to start all over again with the petition and stuff like that?
So through the chair to the clerk, I think I'm trying to think how we want this, because we don't know exactly what we're going to propose yet.
Gotcha. So let's just hold it for now, meet, and then we're gonna brainstorm on June meeting.
That sounds good. And it sounds like if another petition was needed, you could probably get it on in time.
Get in time for that one. Sounds good.
I'm certainly free to meet any time out there.
Yeah, I'll touch base with them and then let them know we're coming time range, so that way we can
It's fine.
get this done. So what we're gonna do is just gonna hold the item. That means we're not gonna decide on it yet.
Yeah.
We're gonna group with the businesses there, and then in June make our decision.
Appreciate your time.
Mr. Chair, one more suggestion is, if you do see vehicles that are clearly overstaying the limit, call 311 and or file a report.
I just don't. Yeah, I'm not that type.
I know,
I'm
I
just
know,
not that
but
type. I grew up differently.
I
than
know
what the norm, I guess, would normally be. Right? It could be somebody that needs to be there. I just think that, like you were saying, you're not making a ton of money if you look at it, having the meters there as well. But again, something has to be enforced in order for cars not to stick around longer than they really need to be there too. I mean, I don't want to be the one that's going out to tell them, hey man, can you just move your car, or whatever the case may be either, right? Because that causes conflict, right? And who needs conflict?
Right.
No one
Well,
really.
the key is that we also want to make sure that we're not negatively affecting the businesses in that area. You know,
Yeah.
it's important that all of you guys are successful.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
All right, so for that, I'm going to move to hold the item. Roll call.
Councilor Pilata,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. Thank
One
you.
last thing, just want to thank you guys for what you do in day in, day out. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
so much.
All right. So, real quick, because I only have two of you guys left. Do you have an item on the agenda? Okay, so I'm coming up now. Okay, so it's coming up now. We're in the vicinity of our, here in the audience. We're gonna start with 8A. Alondra Picardo Rosario requests installation of a pedestrian crossing light at the intersection of Vernon Street and Richland Street. Anybody online for that?
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands on Zoom, and also, just FYI, we do have two people on Zoom, it's Carol from earlier, and also the petitioner for 8D.
Okay, so, Commissioner Raleigh.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, for 8A, this is a really tricky section of Vernon Street, heavy traffic coming down the hill. Difficult crosswalk, so we do recommend approval with a couple of caveats. One is that the existing wheelchair ramps are not compliant, so they would need to be replaced at the same time. And I'd also like to request that the approval include the term confirmation of engineering suitability, and the reason for that is the sidewalks are very narrow here, and we may actually have difficulty finding enough space in the sidewalk to install a rapid flashing beacon. But it is a location that merits one. There are no just pedestrian crossing signs right now, so those should be installed, and so we're also recommending a chair's order requesting installation of pedestrian and crosswalk signage, so that can be implemented right away. As you know, sometimes with the rapid flashing beacons, particularly if there's also sidewalk work that needs to be done, that sometimes can take years before the funding and design is put in place. So we want to make sure we at least get crosswalk signs up right away.
Sounds good. Any of my colleagues want to speak on this item?
Yes, please, thank you. To the chair, to the commissioner. That's a very busy section.
Yeah.
Because of the school down the street, the buses come down there, and then maybe less than, 50 feet, 50 yards, maybe less than that, is the other intersection where there's a lot going on there. Any idea or any work in the plans for that intersection where I think it's Dorchester Street and Dorchester, Vernon? Yeah.
Through the chair,
All the way down to-
there's a whole series of problematic intersections along that section of Vernon Street, and there is nothing planned there currently, but another good candidate for safety improvements for sure.
Okay, yeah, this is in my district, and I drive by that very often, and I just get concerned about that area. I don't know if there's been a traffic study, but I'm pretty sure we could safely say there's probably been a lot of side swipes and some accidents there. So definitely look forward to seeing what we can do in the future in that area.
Okay, with that being said, for 8A, we're going to move to approve the item and then also have a chair's order requesting installation of MUTCD compliant pedestrian and crosswalk signage in advance of requested improvements. Roll call.
Councilor Pilata,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. We're on to 8B. Councilor Louis Ojeda requests installation of a crosswalk that includes pedestrian walking signage with blinking lights on May Street at its intersection with Silver Street and Kingsbury Street to increase the safety of students walking to Woodland Claremont Academy. Councilor Ojeda would like to speak on that item.
I'll let the resident speak. I know Liz Liddell was on. I'm not sure if she's still on, but thank you, Liz. I appreciate it. And we also have another resident. You're more than welcome to come up. Sure.
Yes. Name and resident, please.
Greg Degamasian, City of Worcester, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to first support this particular petition. This afternoon, and actually yesterday afternoon, at school dismissal, I spent about 45 minutes from 1:30 to 2:15 p.m. at the corner on the east side of Silver Street facing north, watching the kind of behavior that exists at that particular intersection. The topography is a little different at the angles in which that intersection occurs. Also, you have a significant hill along on May Street, and then on the intersection at Main and Hammond and May, you also have an issue there too. But I'm specifically saying that on this particular petition, there is a stop sign on the east side of Silver Street. And what I noticed yesterday and today was that the motor vehicles, that they typically do not come to a complete stop. They are really essentially coming to a rolling stop, and they're doing that because of the issues that exist at Main and Hammond, and also trying to beat the traffic with that intersection. The other significant issue is that when the school is located on the east side of what's Claremont, east side of Silver Street. So when the students are dismissed, they cross at the intersection of Claremont and Silver, and they walk on the west side of Silver Street and approach the intersection at May Street where there is no crosswalk. And that's a significant factor. Also today I noticed a box truck that moved a little beyond Kingsbury Street and then proceeded to back up into Kingsbury Street to revert direction back toward the intersection of May and Hammond and Main. So this particular petition, I think, will go as an effective tool for risk management to alleviate and mitigate some of the issues that exist there. And it is a heavily, it's not only students, but there are also individuals there who are helped by, wheelchairs and other residents there. So there can be a lot there that I think that can improve, and I think 8B is a step and a pathway in the right direction. The other, a little bit beyond that, Mr. Chairman, is to the commissioner, what is the best way for a citizen? There are a few things in that neighborhood, in that immediate neighborhood, missing signs, compromised signage. Would 311 be the best way for us to address those issues? And then issues where, for example, a speed limit sign, which is now covered by a tree, and potentially having your department go out there and see if there's a way that we can move that sign. So I would,
Commissioner
through the chair,
Rowley?
Through the chair, 311 is the best way to deal with those instances where there are existing traffic control devices, but they need some attention. So either replacement or missing or that kind of thing. And that then creates a record within the 311 system that can be tracked to see progress on it.
Yeah.
and moving something, does that require a petition?
Through the chair, it would depend on what it is and the circumstances. So it's a speed limit sign?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
It's one that when you come up on the east side of Oberlin, there's a 20-mile-per-hour sign there. And that sign is completely covered by a tree. And I think, this is kind of like low-hanging fruit here. But whatever we can do to improve the neighborhood is a step in the right direction.
Greg, can I ask, is it covered by the tree or is it covered by a tree branch?
It's covered by the tree. It's a type of tree. It's a kind of species. It's not a maple or oak. I don't know the species of the tree. It's a nice tree, but the sign is covered
Gotcha.
by that tree on Oberlin Street as you enter from Main Street on the right-hand side.
So,
Number-
Mr.
number-
Chair, we'll-
This is actually, I think, number 6 Oberlin, right at Claremont Square, what is known as Claremont Square, the intersection of Silver and Oberlin, but it's called Claremont Square.
Thank
yeah,
you,
Mr.
Greg.
Chair, we'll take a look at that.
I appreciate that very much, and also, and I'll go through 311, but that there's been a missing sign there right at Claremont Square too, and I don't know if it's a stop sign, a street sign, but it's been missing for quite a while. So we're going to get into 311, but thank you very much for your time, and
Thank you,
thank you
Greg.
for the petition. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate it. So, Councilor Ojeda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Liz and Greg. I really appreciate taking your time to be here for this. I know some people are actually sending me messages now and understanding the importance of this area. Greg actually explained exactly what goes on. And then if you add the winter months, it's even worse with the snowbanks. So it's an area that should be addressed, and I'm hoping we can address it fairly quickly. Another thing in that area is all the kids walk to that school. So that school's, they're all walkers. So I think that's an area that we need to maybe do another walk around and figure out, what's working, what's not working. That's been the focus that I've had in working with the city manager and the mayor on addressing Main Street and all the streets that come into Main Street. And, the focus is on updating the signs, working on some more of those, there are some speed humps there as well, identifying which way the traffic should run in the morning. I know there's a lot of issues in front of, on Claremont Street. Then you have Silver Street and you have Oberlin on the backside. That's something that I'm hoping that we can work on in the morning hours. If it's a one-way, if it helps all the residents and the parents that are dropping most of their kids off. But like I said, most of them are walkers, and I want to make sure they're safe. But when you are coming down May Street when you're going towards Main, there is Kingsbury Street, and Kingsbury is a narrow road, and there's parking always. I believe they park on both sides. It's really tight. So that's something that I think we need to really address and figure out, that type of parking situation. You also have Pennywise, you have the supermarket, which I believe they're going to be expanding. So that's going to be more foot traffic. And then on 5 May Street, that's the apartment there. It's going to be online, so a lot of it'll be open to those apartments will be available. So now we're going to have more residents in the area, probably dealing with some more parking issues as well. So I think if we can start identifying some of those traffic calming measures that we can put in now to help slow that down, mitigate some risks, and then also, as we work on Main Street as well, to all tie it in. So I really appreciate being able to work on this and support our residents.
Sounds good. Commissioner Raleigh, you good?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so it's certainly a good location for crosswalk improvements, as we've heard from the testimony, both from the district councilor as well as the residents who spoke. It's getting a lot of use, makes a lot of sense. There are physical improvements that'll need to be made at the same time, but this is a location we should prioritize, given the amount of use it's getting and given the, just the circumstances on the street. So we do recommend approval. I always have to say this, pending the funding to design and construct the associated improvements. But this I would say should be a high priority location.
Go ahead, Councilor.
One last question to the chair. I know, and I received the message just now, but one of the biggest questions is going to be the time frame. If we have a ballpark figure of understanding, and if there's anything that while we wait, through the budget, and obviously there's a lot more work that you said that has to be done on the road itself and the sidewalk. What has been done in the past, or what can we do to help? Maybe. I'm not sure if there's a crosswalk there, someone that does the crosswalk, if we can get someone to be there, or, what are some other things that we could think of?
Through the chair, and I'll ask Mr. Corain to pitch in here too as well. But one of the challenges, and it's a little bit frustrating, is that we can't just go and stripe a crosswalk without doing the other required improvements. So under ADA, we have to put compliant curb ramps in. It's, you know, in order for that location to truly be a safe crossing, it does need some other features. I think it absolutely needs a rapid flashing beacon. I think it probably merits the curb extensions too. So as, you know, I think part of the reason you're asking this is we've been down this road with a couple of other projects, and it takes at best case a year plus to get those improvements done. We've got a pretty good program now where we do design in 1 year and then bid them over the winter and then construct them next year. This past year we did 9 projects. Coming year we'll be doing 17 projects that way. So in terms of anything we can do in the interim, I think we'd have to put some thought into that. I don't know if there's anything that's coming to mind, top of head, Todd. But it's a challenge, you know, in terms of thinking what you can do on an interim basis in that sort of circumstance.
And I know the challenge part, I just want to chime in real quick, is there any way where we can work on areas that are, just speaking from my opinion, is I think we'll say, take a little precedence when we're talking about school area or parks area where kids play and stuff like that. When we have these type of issues in those areas, can they take precedence and stuff like that?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so that's one thing we try to do. You know, unfortunately, there's more things that get approved because there's so many needs than we can ever do in a year or even in 2 or 3 years usually. But when we put that package together of projects to move forward each year, we do think about things like proximity to schools, parks, senior care facilities, areas where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, where there's known speeding issues and those kinds of things. So that's definitely factors in when we think about what to move forward, and I would have to think that this would be a project that would be prioritized highly.
I agree. We're going to move to approve 8B. Roll call.
Counselor Pilata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. Moving on to 8C. Nick Joyce requests installation of a permanent reboundable crosswalk sign at the existing crosswalk on Vernon Street at the top of Hillside Street. Anybody online for that?
To the chair, there's no one raising their hands.
Commissioner Raleigh?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So we do not install the permanent in-street signs just because of plowing issues, but this is a location where we did put one of the seasonal temporary in crosswalk signs last year, and I think our intention is to do that again this year. But this crosswalk is just missing the regular pedestrian crossing signs too, so it needs those. So our recommendation is to file the item, but then approve a chair's order requesting installation of the pedestrian and crosswalk signage.
Very good. Just a quick question, because it's an education moment for me. I've never heard of a reboundable crosswalk sign.
Yeah, so those are the ones in the middle of the street that go right on the double yellow line.
Gotcha.
And if a car hits them, they sort of spring back up.
Okay.
And we have portable ones that we'll leave out for about 7 months out of the year, and then before the snow comes, we'll take those back up.
All right, any of my colleagues want to speak on this item? No. All right, for that, we're going to move to file the item and approve a chair's order requesting installation of MUTCD compliant pedestrian and crosswalk signage. Roll call.
Counselor Pilata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. All right, move on to 8D. Excuse me if I mispronounce your name. John Soloperdo, on behalf of WCUW Community Radio, requests installation of a flashing light system at the crosswalk at the corner of Hawthorne Street and Main Street. Name and residence, please.
My name is Ed Arndt. I'm a resident of Worcester. I live on Havelock Road, but I'm here today to speak about Main South and radio station WCUW at 910 Main Street at Hawthorne. Over the past 3 or 4 years, WCUW has been on air over 50 years, 53 years now. But what's happened over the past 3 to 4 years, we've expanded to now have an active art gallery space, affiliated with Clark University's art department, as well as Cinema Worcester. We have regular movies Thursday through Sunday. We also have live performances there and have live music as well as lectures and education. We're expanding to include community. We're really become a community center more than just a radio station now. And what's happened is we have all this new traffic coming in. We have an existing crosswalk that's already there. It is very dangerous to cross, even in the brightness of day. I'm sure you all know, trying to cross the street yourselves at some point or another. It really is a public safety issue. And I know we talk about prioritizing things for school children and cutting out curbs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I feel that this is at that level because of the increased traffic. We have access to the Clark University's parking lot right across the street. So again, a very much more active space now, and really just respect the work that you guys do. Thank you for hearing me, and I'll leave it at that. I guess if John Soloperto may be online, he may have something that he wants to add.
Do we have anybody online?
Thank you.
Thank
to
you.
the chair, yes, the petitioner is online. I
All
will
right.
go ahead and give him the permission to speak.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to say thank you, Commissioner, for pronouncing my name correctly.
Oh.
Appreciate that. I want to echo everything that Ed said. I also wanted to mention that there is a bus stop at the edge of that crosswalk on the, I guess it would be the east side of Main Street. One of the problems crossing from Hawthorne Street over to the Clark University parking lot is that there's parking along, traffic moving south along Main Street. Can't see people stepping out because of the parking on Main Street. There's also a handicap spot there, so there's almost always a vehicle there. That I don't want to take up any more of your time than necessary. The flashing lights are great, but we would appreciate anything you can do to improve the visibility of the crosswalk there, because people don't seem to notice it's there when they come barreling through, particularly after dark.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Rowley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we agree this is a good location for a rapid flashing beacon. It's, this stretch of Main Street actually has a pretty lengthy distance between signalized intersections, so there's not a lot of good crossing opportunities. And a rapid flashing beacon would help, establish a higher level of, enhanced level of pedestrian safety at this location. I hate to sound like a broken record, but again, there's a capital investment involved, so it's going to be at some point down the road. We do move pretty quickly on our RFBs in locations like this. One thing I did want to say is, and we've been working with the district council on this, is that we're starting to turn some design attention to Main Street in this neighborhood, anticipating resurfacing projects coming forward. So thinking about what kind of improvements need to be incorporated in this location, we'll probably want to look at getting curb extensions and that kind of thing in as well to help protect against the vehicles parking too closely. So this is consistent with that. That's in the works, and it's all good stuff. We do recommend, again, this is a location that doesn't have any crosswalk signage currently, and it should. So we recommend a chair's order as well as approval of the item, so that we can get those pedestrian and crosswalk signs up ASAP also.
Councilor, have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, thank you. Just to be quick, I really do appreciate this. This is, I drive down the street every day, just about either that street or Loudon Street. I go up to go home. So yeah, I know we had our honorary street name for Hyman Flores there as well. We're working on getting the sign back up, just so you know. It got taken down during the winter. But this is good. This ties into the work that we've been doing on Main Street. There's another one that should be coming up. The same thing with the beacon lights, the flashing lights, is on Richard Street and Main Street as well. So we should just be continuing on in those high traffic areas. Main Street's really tricky, right? You have a lot of kids that walk to school. You have a lot of businesses. You have people that are just going for walks, elderly. It's a road that's used very often by many people. Cyclists, motor vehicles, you name it, are on that street. So I really appreciate this.
Okay, with that being said, we're going to move to approve the item and also have a chair's order request installation of MUTCD compliant pedestrian and crosswalk signage in advance of requested improvements. Roll call.
Councilor Bilada,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. All right, we move on to 8E. Stephen B. Harris requests installation of a crosswalk at the intersection of Chester Street and Holden Street. Do we have anybody online?
To the chair, there's no one online right now.
All right, Commissioner Raleigh?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so originally our recommendation was to file this item, and the reason is there isn't a continuous sidewalk system on the opposite side of Holden Street, so there's not really a lot to connect to over there. It would certainly serve the 4 residents that live along Pickwick Circle. The reason I changed that to pending testimonies, I just wanted to hear if there was anything else that we weren't aware of where there's school bus stops. Was there something else going on that merited a crosswalk here, or that would, not to say it merited the crosswalk. I'm always in favor of helping people cross the street safely, but that would justify the level of expense that would be required to construct the sidewalk landing, the curb ramps, and that kind of thing. Absent hearing that, I would recommend to file this item. It's not that Holden Street doesn't merit some attention, but I'm not sure that this is the sort of best point of emphasis for that, given that there really isn't a sidewalk on the other side right now.
All right, with that being said, none of my colleagues want to speak on this item.
Through the chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, is there anything in the future feasibility-wise for putting sidewalks on Holden Street? I know from basically that whole section down to Grove, the whole, what I'll say, the eastern side of the street, there's no sidewalks.
Through the chair. So there isn't currently. It certainly merits consideration. You know, it's a busy street. There's certainly a speeding problem on the street. Really, it's the type of street that should have sidewalks on both sides. But when that might happen, I don't know. There is still a pending, there was an order from last year to actually restripe this section of Holden Street in an effort to help manage the speeding, to establish bike lanes, and then put the edge line then would redefine the travel lane to be a normal width instead of the excessively wide width it has. That may create some pedestrian demand on that side of the street from people kind of walking on the edge of the shoulder, but I'm just reluctant to move forward on something, or to recommend moving forward on something until we have a better idea of who exactly it's serving and how it would do that, given all of the other needs we have, not only along this street, but citywide.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, we're going to move to further item. Roll call.
Councilor Bilada,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes, moving on to F. Stephen B. Harris requests installation of a crosswalk at the intersection of Parkin Street and Holden Street. Commissioner Raleigh.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, in this case, we do recommend file because this location is only 190 feet from a signalized traffic intersection that does have safe and protected pedestrian crossings. So that's clearly the safer place to cross.
Got you. Any of my colleagues want to speak on this item? Okay, move to file the item. Roll call.
Councilor Bilada,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. Move on to AG. We're going to have quite a few here of Councilor Bilada requests installation of flashing pedestrian crosswalk signage at the intersection of Almond Avenue and Hamilton Street, including signage on the grass median. Councilor Bilada?
Yeah, through the chair, would we want to take them collectively? Would that be easier?
Sure, I was going to ask that. Thank you very much. So we'll move to H as well. Councilor Bilada requests installation of flashing pedestrian crosswalk signage at the intersection of Lincoln Street and Gorham Street. And then we move to I. Councilor Bilada requests installation of a crosswalk on Lincoln Street and at the intersection with Sturgis Street. And J, no, that's good. Up to there. So 8I.
Thank you.
Councilor Bilada?
Yes, through the chair, was hoping to install some flashing pedestrian signage here on Hamilton Street and on Lincoln Street at Gorham. There's some, both of these areas are just at night, a little dimly lit, and especially at the top of Hamilton Street there's lots of small businesses and very dense. It's a very densely populated area, so I think this would be helpful, especially with some of the grass medians. Sometimes there's line of sight issues, and again, with lighting there, this could really help provide safety for residents to be crossing on Hamilton, as well as on the intersection of Lincoln and Gorham. That intersection, or that stretch of Lincoln from Britain Square going north to 290 is really a straightaway, and people do speed, but this would be helpful just to provide more visibility for pedestrians, so thank you.
Commissioner Raleigh? I think we took them collectively, but I know each of them has their own little stuff you want to comment on them, because...
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and, sorry, I'm just sort of shuffling through my pages here. I'll go ahead and run through them individually. So,
yeah.
One of the things we noticed in looking at these is there isn't just compliant standard pedestrian crossing signs. So we think that's a good place to start in all these intersections, including potentially in the median where the median has sufficient width to do that. In terms of the flashing crosswalk signs, I don't think that we're ready to recommend those in these cases, just because of the cost factor associated with them. And there's a little bit of a concern that with the continuously flashing ones, if you start to get too many of these, then they kind of lose their effectiveness because everyone's used to seeing these sort of constantly flashing signs. So we try to make sure that we know that they're locations that are going to get quite a bit of regular use. So my recommendation would be to go ahead and start with the standard pedestrian crossing signs. All three of them should have that. And then we can continue to monitor them. And if we're noticing that we're not getting good stop rates at them, or residents are continuing to report that they're having, difficulty crossing the street safely, then we can think about the next step up, which might be a flashing ped sign, or it might actually be going to an RRFB, because in these locations, they don't have that regular stream of traffic. So even though it's a little more expensive, I'd rather have something that only lights up when there is actually a pedestrian there.
Steve, anything else you need to say, Councilor Balata?
Yeah, my only, I guess, comment is, I did notice that at the intersection of Madison and I think, is that Ionic Ave, where the new building has been built there. That's what originally caught my eye, seeing that for the first time. I said, oh, wow. That's, something new that I haven't seen that commonly around Worcester. So, again, just seeing that there were one of these put up, in kind of conjunction with a, brand new housing going up. I felt that, it would be great to try and get some of these in neighborhoods where, there's, they'll call them legacy neighborhoods. And again, that area of Hamilton is, very congested. I know RFBs, I agree with Commissioner Raleigh that RFBs would be a better solution, but however, just knowing how much those cost, I was hoping that we could get something to just highlight that there are crosswalks there. Again, I understand the feasibility challenges. With the yellow crosswalk signs, through the chair, would it be possible to put one of those signs, the non-flashing signs, in the middle of the median? Because a lot of times it's a pretty wide view there, and I worry that without something in the middle, drivers might not see it as well.
Commissioner Raleigh?
Through the chair, yeah, on Hamilton Street, we would certainly want to get the pedestrian crossing signs two-sided in the median, and that, Todd and I were just having a sidebar actually a few minutes ago where I was looking at the example photo we included, and there is a ped crossing sign on the right, but there's not one in the median or on the opposing side. And so having that, that sort of three signs going across the road, I think will greatly improve awareness of the crosswalk compared to just having the one sign only on the right beyond the bike lane and the parking lane, which is, well off the roadway.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great. And then for Lincoln and Gorham, would that be would we be able to put one of the flashing signs there? Or is it because of the low demand I see here?
Through the chair. So again, with the I don't want to say low irregular demand, I would rather start with just static pedestrian crossing signs, but we'll make sure they're two-sided on both sides of the street. So again, it's not just one sign that you have an easier chance of missing, but you have a sign on both sides of the street, which should do a better job of catching drivers' attention.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think whatever we could do to move ahead and get these signs up, that will really help just pedestrian visibility. And I think it, again, aligns with some of the goals in the mobility action plan to try to get things done, smaller projects that we can get done quicker. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. With that being said, with the AG and the 8H, we're gonna file those petitions, and then I'm gonna ask for a chair's order requesting city manager request the Commission of Transportation and Mobility improve the safety and access of the crosswalk on Hamilton Street and Almond Ave by installing MUTCD compliant pedestrian and crosswalk signage. That's for 8G, and for 8H, Chairman's order requesting city manager request the Commission of Transportation and Mobility improve the safety and access of the crosswalk on Lincoln Street and Graham Street by installing MUTCD compliant pedestrian and crosswalk signage. Roll call.
Through the chair, I have a question.
Sure.
It was mentioned, Commissioner Rowley mentioned earlier about that, the flashing signs, that having them there constantly could, what was the phrasing that you used, Commissioner Rowley, that it might have a reverse impact where people might just kind of tune it out? Is that correct?
Yeah, the couple of concerns. One is that a static sign that doesn't have a lot of usage kind of trains drivers that the flashing lights don't mean anything, because they, if they're regularly passing by the crosswalk and there's no one using it. So that's one concern. The second is that if we had sort of an abundance of these in one area that were constantly flashing all the time, then I mean, you're going to notice them, but they're going to sort of lose their meaning to the driver.
Okay, just to that question, I just wouldn't the same thing happen with the non-flashing lights? I guess is a question I have. And when you said an abundance of the flashing lights, I just, that doesn't just track well with me, just because I don't know what other on Hamilton, where else they are.
Through the chair. So actually, yes, it's one of the things that we try to guard against is over-signing streets, because when you start to get a lot of superfluous signage that doesn't really have a purpose, people just kind of start tuning out. So really try to focus on those warning signs that have very specific intended purposes and use them as prescribed in the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate it.
All right, roll call on the 8G and 8H on the previous approval. I mean, file, and then approval of the chairman's order.
Councilor Bilada,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. So moving on to J.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I may have misled us on I.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, since we took them collectively, I missed that. I just want to make sure I've got this right.
To chair, believe that 8I, there's not a motion on that yet. The roll call is for
Okay.
8G and 8H.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
8G and
Okay.
H. Now
All right,
we're on
I'm
8I.
sorry.
The reason
Yeah.
it was separate because this one was for
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So we're on 8I. Councilor Robert Bellotta requests installation of crosswalk on Lincoln Street at its intersection with Sturgis Street. Anything you want to add to that, Councilor Bellotta?
Nope, as it reads. Thank you.
As Commissioner Raleigh?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we do recommend approval for this one. Again, pending funding to construct necessary improvements, including curb ramps and compliant pavement markings and signage. So this is a good location for a crosswalk. We've been out on this portion of Lincoln Street several times over the last few years. It's an area where we know there's pretty significant problems with traffic safety and speeding. There are not a lot of opportunities to safely cross the road through this neighborhood, and this location is pretty much midway between the two existing crosswalks, so really good location for one. And again, I think this is a location that should probably be prioritized as well.
Perfect. I move for approval. Roll call.
Councilor Bilada,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. Now we're down to 8J. Councilor Tony Economo requests installation of a crosswalk on Chalmers Road at the midway point to provide park access for Duffy Field. Anybody online?
To the chair, there's no one online at the moment.
Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, so this crosswalk would line up to one of the main entry points to the field, and that's sort of the thought process behind it here. Often on local streets, we won't sign crosswalks, we won't paint crosswalks, but given that it's a mid-block location, it does get quite a bit of use because it is aligned with the entry to the field. And there is a little more traffic using this street than a typical road because of all of the park users there. We do recommend approval pending funding.
Thank you. We're gonna move to approve the item. Roll call.
Councilor Bilada,
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. All right, because we took some out of order, we're up to 10A, traffic control signal petitions. Councilor Robert Bilada requests installation of a traffic signal on Belmont Street, Route 9 at the intersection of Belmont Street, Route 9, and Stanton Street. Councilor Bilada.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew this was a bit of a Hail Mary. I know it doesn't quite qualify there, but the main reason I submitted this is to continue to advocate for pedestrian improvements there on Belmont Street. You have effectively a highway between Belmont Street School and the park and the neighborhood up there, Stanton Street, Olga Ave, Hooper, and Rodney. So it's very dangerous to park there, to cross the street there for school kids, for neighborhood kids. I have a parent that reached out that they live across the street and they drive their kids to the park because that's how afraid they are of their child getting hit. And people do absolutely fly on that street. And again, this is one of the streets that was built decades ago to move cars quickly and efficiently through the city at the expense of our neighborhoods and pedestrian safety. So I know this isn't going to work here at this area, but yeah, worth a shot, I guess.
We appreciate the Hail Mary. Commissioner Raleigh.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So it, probably not to the councilor's surprise, it did not meet the warrants for a installation of a traffic signal. Not meeting the volume warrants isn't surprising because the Stanton Street doesn't have a whole lot of traffic. But this intersection does have a pretty significant crash history, which is just emblematic of what the council was describing. It's a difficult location to pull out from as a vehicle, and it's even more difficult to cross there. We have talked with the councilor and recently about potential improvements at that crosswalk, and unfortunately, and this is a really frustrating thing, but the sidewalk is so narrow, we actually can't fit a rapid flashing beacon in there on the existing sidewalks today. So it's just amazing to me that we have a street with 20,000 plus vehicles, but we couldn't carve out enough space on the sidewalk to actually be able to put street lights and rapid flashing beacons and things like that. So one of the things that the Vision Zero plan I recognize is Belmont Street has one of the worst safety performances of anywhere in the city, and it's different as you go along different parts of the corridor, but really starting at the top of the hill here and working down toward UMass Memorial is a significant problem. I think that problem was probably made, I'm speculating a little bit, but was probably made worse when the road was reconfigured to have the two westbound lanes. That's certainly needed when you get down to the bottom of the hill by the hospital and you start getting some traffic signals. But up here on the top of the hill, really all it does is make those crossings more dangerous for people to pull in and out of or to try to cross the street. So that's something we need to take a look at, is whether that configuration makes sense or there's a different configuration that would be safer and still accommodate the traffic demand. And then looking at the other types of improvements recommended in the Vision Zero plan. So creating curb extensions here so that we have enough space to put in rapid flashing beacons. and to get better visibility and a shorter crossing distance for pedestrians and that kind of thing. So, long way of saying, we do recommend file for the item because it does not qualify for a traffic signal under the MUTCD. However, we do recommend a chair's order just to kind of reinforce the point that chair's order recommending pursuing and designing and constructing the safety improvements at this location that are consistent with the Vision Zero Safety Action Plan, pending funding to do so.
Sounds good. So we're gonna move to file the item, and I'm gonna approve the chair's order requesting city manager request the Commissioner of Transportation and Mobility pursue the design and construction of safety improvements at the intersection of Belmont Street and Stanton Street, consistent with the Vision Zero Safety Action Plan, pending funding. Of course, roll call.
Councilor Bilado?
Sorry, just real quick through the chair, I just wanted to let DTM know that I did submit petitions to expand the crosswalk on Stanton Street side of Belmont and to widen the sidewalk on the park side. So there have had submitted some additional items. Thank you. Yeah, yes.
Councilor Bilado?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
And Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. All right, we're moving on to the last couple few. Number 11A, traffic sign petitions. Councilor Jenny Pasillo requests installation of speed limit signage on Burncoat Street. Anybody online?
To your chair, there's no one online at the moment.
All right, Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, so for years now, we've been coming to this committee and saying, falls under the statutory citywide speed limit, there's nothing we can do about it, we're prohibited by law from putting up speed limit signs. That changed in March. Under Massachusetts law now, statutory speed limit signs can be signed. We still want to use them relatively sparingly because the idea behind a statutory speed limit is it applies everywhere. But on major corridors like this where we know speeding continues to be an issue, it has improved a little bit after the lane striping that occurred with the resurfacing project, but it's still too high. We think it's a good idea to get some reminders up there for people. The sign we need to use is kind of interesting. It's a regular 25-mile-per-hour sign, but then we have to put this plaque underneath it, which references the law that establishes it. So I know we're going to get a lot of phone calls saying, what on earth does MGL 9017C mean? But that's what we have to do. So that's what we'll do. But this Burncoat Street is a good location for speed limit signs, kind of at the beginning of the corridor to remind people of that. And we recommend approval.
Yeah, and I will tell you that we're going to be getting a lot of these petitions because I'm getting them a lot from my constituents in District 5 as well. So with that being said, move to approve. Roll call.
Councilor Bilado?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
And Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. Now to 11B, Councilor Jenny Pasillo requests installation of speed limit signage on Southbury Street. Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, same story, higher speeds even, so we recommend approval.
Yeah. Move to approval. Roll call.
Councilor Bilado?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
And Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. 9C, Adam Ock requests installation of speed limit signage in the vicinity of 425 Lake Ave North.
Mr. Chair, same story. We are recommending file only because there are already approved orders requesting this, and we were just waiting for the law to change to allow it. But we'll be implementing speed limit signs sort of on both the north and southerly sections of Lake Ave.
Okay, we move to file. Roll call.
Councilor Bilado?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
And Chairperson Councilor Rivera.
Yes. Okay, we have one here, traffic study petitions. Joseph Corazzini requests a traffic study be conducted on Southbury Street that tracks vehicle speed and the amount of vehicles utilizing the street. Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, so I don't know if there's anyone online at this point.
To your chair, there's no
Okay.
one on Zoom.
So, Salisbury Street's obviously a major corridor. We know it carries a lot of traffic and does have a speeding problem kind of all throughout the corridor. We're just looking for sort of more direction in terms of what the what was being sought for the study, I guess. We can certainly provide information on volumes and speeds if the committee would like that, but just kind of looking for some direction here.
So if you don't mind, I'll move to hold the item, and
Okay.
then we can reach out and figure out.
Sounds good.
Okay. Move to hold the item, roll call.
Counselor Pilata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. Moving on to 13A, speed and traffic enforcement petition. Joseph Corazzini requests installation of solar-powered speed radar signs on Salisbury Street. Commissioner Raleigh.
Mr. Chair, so we're going to recommend file at this time, not because I don't think that there might be a role for these on Salisbury Street, but there is, fairly considerable cost to those signs. So we'd like to start with just the static signs that we were just talking about, see what kind of success we have with that, and then figure out where we might need a sign like this. So
Sounds
recommendation is to file.
All right. Move to file the item, roll call.
Counselor Pilata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. The last one we have is 13B. Councilor Ozeva requests installation of speed feedback dynamic speed display signage on Chandler Street in the vicinity of Rockwood Field and Worcester Dual Language Magnet School located at 525 Chandler Street. As you're aware, we have conversation about this, that area where the kids play baseball in that area. So Commissioner Raleigh.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so we did have a conversation and actually took a look at this location here. It's a good location for this type of sign because of all of the activity there. There's the ball field, there's the university, there's two public schools on either end of it, so there's just a lot of activity, and we know speeding on Chandler Street has been a problem. I think the TIP project that's going to happen there is ultimately going to help with that, but it's not going to necessarily solve it all, and this is a little bit north of the project limits, so I think it has good viability even though there are some planned improvements south of there, so we recommend approval.
Move to approve the item, roll call.
Counselor,
Yes. Oops,
Counselor
sorry.
Pilata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes. With that being said, move to end the meeting, roll call.
Counselor Pilata,
Yes.
Counselor Ojeda,
Yes.
and Chairperson Counselor Rivera.
Yes.
He's out of here. Yeah. All right. That was pretty good for